Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're taking a look at the Indo-European language family, which is huge. Almost half the world speaks languages that come from this one family.
Right.
Our main source material this time is this article called Unjerngonakdom.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay.
That translates to Indo-European origins, new language analysis techniques.
Catchy.
We'll be looking at how people have researched this family, the different theories about where it came from, and this new analysis technique that's kind of controversial.
Yeah, it's been causing a stir for sure. It's a fascinating puzzle, this whole Indo-European thing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. English, Spanish, Hindi, Russian, so many more. They all came from one ancestor.
Right.
Proto-Indo-European, we call it.
And if we can solve this mystery, we'll learn about more than just languages.
Exactly.
It will tell us about the history of all these people, how they moved around, how they interacted with each other.
It's like putting together a giant jigsaw puzzle of history.
It really is. It's like this giant family reunion with everyone from English speakers to Hindi speakers all trying to figure out how they're related. And the clues, they're hidden right in the words themselves.
That's where it all starts, yeah. Early linguists, they noticed these amazing similarities between languages that seemed totally different on the surface.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Sir William Jones, way back in the late 1700s.
Wow.
He was one of the first to really pick up on this. He found all these links between Sanskrit, Latin, and Greek. And it made him think, hey, maybe these all came from the same source.
So just by comparing words like, say, father, which is patar in Sanskrit.
Tutor in Latin.
And, of course, just plain father in English.
Right. They started to suspect there was something deeper going on.
Wow, that's so cool. So it wasn't just like one word here or there, though, right?
No, it was way more than that.
Okay.
They looked at grammar, too, and how the sounds of words shifted across these languages.
Like a giant game of telephone.
Exactly. But played out over centuries. You know, words change as they're passed down.
Makes sense.
But you can still see traces of the original form.
So how do these sound shifts actually help us track language history?
Well, the cool thing is they follow these patterns, like predictable patterns. And that's where Jacob Grimm comes in.
Wait, that Grimm? The fairy tale guy?
The one and only.
Wow, small world.
So back in the 1800s, he came up with this thing called Grimm's Law.
Okay.
Which basically describes how certain sounds changed as these Indo-European languages evolved.
Fascinating.
Like take the Indo-European word for two. It was probably something like do originally.
You do.
And over time, it shifted. Became two in English, zwei in German.
Right.
All following this specific pattern of sound change.
So we've got these shared words, and then Grimm's Law showing these patterns in how sounds change. It really does point to there being this ancestor language, Proto-Indo-European.
Yeah.
But then the big question is, where did it come from?
Now that is the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's led to this big debate between two main theories, the steppe hypothesis and the Anatolian hypothesis.
Ooh, a good old-fashioned theory battle.
You know we love those here on the Deep Dive.
Absolutely. So tell me more. What are these hypotheses all about?
All right, so the steppe hypothesis, which has been the more popular one, it puts Proto-Indo-European with these nomadic herders roaming around the steppes. You know, it's now Ukraine and Russia.
Gotcha.
About 6,000 years ago.
6,000 years, wow.
And the evidence they point to is words. Words related to wheels and herding and wagons.
Makes sense for nomads.
Yeah, you find these words scattered across a bunch of Indo-European languages.
So they're thinking, as these nomads moved around, they spread their language.
Exactly. Spread it far and wide.
Makes sense. Okay, so that's the steppe hypothesis, nomads spreading the language.
Right.
What about the Anatolian hypothesis? What's their story?
They take us back even further in time. Yeah, about 8,000 to 9,000 years ago.
Wow.
To the farmers of Anatolia, what's now modern-day Turkey, their idea is that Proto-Indo-European spread with the expansion of agriculture.
So as farming spread out from Anatolia, so did the language.
That's the thinking.
Yeah.
And we know that agriculture was popping up in that region around that time.
Makes you wonder if those early farmers realized their way of life would have such a lasting impact.
Right. Not just on food, but on language, too.
So we've got these two compelling theories, both with some evidence to back them up. But this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because the article we're looking at, it brings in this whole new technique to try and answer this question.
It does.
It's called computational phylogenetics.
Big word, I know.
And it borrows techniques from evolutionary biology.
Now that's wild, right?
Eh.
Using biology to study language.
It really is. How does that even work?
Well, think about how biologists use DNA to build those evolutionary trees.
Right. To show how species are related?
Exactly. Well, linguists can now use algorithms and word comparisons to build family trees for languages.
So, like, instead of DNA strands, they're crunching data on vocabulary.
Yeah, they're looking for patterns that show how languages are related to each other.
It's like comparing the whole genome of a language, not just individual genes.
That's a great way to put it. And get this,
Yeah.
this technique has given us some surprising results about where Proto-Indo-European came from.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear about those, but I guess we'll have to wait for part 2 of our deep dive.
You just have to stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Indo-European languages.
Glad to be back.
Before we jump into those results you were talking about,
Yeah.
I'm still kind of stuck on the whole using biology to study language thing.
I know, right? It's pretty wild.
It's like something out of Star Trek.
Almost. But when you think about it,
Yeah.
both fields are really about lineages, right? Figuring out how things change over time.
Okay.
Biology does it with genes and species.
And linguistics does it with words and languages.
Exactly. Same basic principle, different data.
So instead of looking at DNA,
Right.
these computational linguists are looking at words, at vocabulary, to find those family connections.
They're looking for patterns. These linguistic fingerprints, you could say.
Oh, I like that, linguistic fingerprints.
Similarities that point to a shared history.
Okay, I'm getting it. Now I'm really curious to hear what they found about the step hypothesis versus Anatolian hypothesis.
Well, hold on to your hats.
Okay, why? What happened?
The first results they got from this analysis actually pointed towards the Anatolian hypothesis.
Really?
Yeah. They suggested that Proto-Indo-European probably started somewhere around 8,000 years ago
Okay.
in what's now Turkey.
Just like those farmers, huh?
It seems so. Maybe those words about agriculture really were a strong clue.
So, case closed. The farmers win.
Well, not so fast.
There's that twist you mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Here's where things get even wilder.
Okay, I'm ready.
The analysis also showed a second homeland
A second homeland.
in the steppes.
So, wait, both?
It looks like it. It's not as simple either. It's more complicated, more dynamic, you know.
Then either of those theories could explain on their own.
Exactly. It's like Proto-Indo-European started in Anatolia,
Okay.
but then maybe a branch of it moved to the steppes.
And kept evolving.
Yeah. Changing, becoming something new.
Makes you wonder about all those people back then.
Right.
Migrating, trading, meeting new groups.
Oh, for sure. Languages would have mixed,
Yeah.
influenced each other, creating these branches, these variations.
It's like a river with all these tributaries.
Perfect analogy. Each one adds to the flow.
That makes the whole thing more complex.
Exactly. Language evolution is messy, you know.
Yeah, like human history itself.
Exactly.
But hold on a second.
Yeah.
If this analysis is so powerful, why is there still debate about this whole Indo-European origin thing?
Good point. No method is perfect.
Right.
Even with fancy algorithms, there are limits. And honestly, not everyone in linguistics is totally convinced by these findings.
So there are skeptics.
Oh, yeah.
What are they saying? Why aren't they buying it?
Some linguists argue that focusing just on vocabulary.
Which is what this analysis does.
Right, they say it misses other important stuff.
Like what?
Sound changes, grammar, the historical context.
Right, the whole picture.
It's like trying to understand someone just by looking at their clothes.
You might get some clues.
Yeah.
But you're missing a lot.
You got it. This guy, James Claxon, linguist at Cambridge.
Okay.
He pointed out something really important.
What's that?
Just because two languages share a word doesn't mean they got it from the same ancestor.
Okay.
Languages borrow words all the time.
They do.
Especially when cultures interact.
Like how I sometimes say c'est la vie even though I don't speak French.
Exactly. Or think about all the English words we've taken from other languages.
Oh, yeah, like sushi.
Yep.
Carpe diem. Chutzpah.
See? Borrowing is totally normal.
It's how languages evolve, right?
Exactly. So shared words can be a clue.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful.
Don't jump to conclusions.
Right. Other things can cause those similarities.
Like just cultures being in contact.
Exactly. So the debate's not over.
Seems like this whole Indo-European origin thing is still a mystery.
It is.
Even with these new tools, we need to look at all the evidence, consider different ideas, and just admit that language evolution is complicated.
It's like being a detective.
trying to solve a case that's thousands of years old.
And that's what makes it so fun.
It's a constant process, right?
Always discovering, debating, refining.
And even if we did figure out exactly where Proto-Indo-European came from, that wouldn't be the end of the story.
Not at all. Language is always evolving.
Changing to fit new situations.
Right.
Reflecting the world around it.
That's what makes it so fascinating.
Like, think about how much English has changed even in the last few hundred years.
Well, yeah.
New words popping up. Grammar rules shifting.
Borrowing, blending.
It's like a living thing.
It really is. And with how connected the world is now, I bet these changes are happening even faster.
Absolutely. The internet, social media, global communication.
It's all creating new ways for languages to interact.
And influence each other.
Leading to new dialects, new slang.
Maybe even entirely new languages.
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about.
It is.
What will the Indo-European family look like in 1,000 years?
Right.
What new branches will there be?
What new words will we come up with?
Like looking into a linguistic crystal ball.
Yeah. We can't know for sure.
But
we can look at what's happening now.
And make some guesses.
Like, we're already seeing new kinds of English pop up.
Oh, yeah.
Singlish in Singapore. Yeah. Pinglish in India.
Where English mixes with the local languages.
Exactly. It's fascinating to watch.
And there's this whole movement now to protect endangered languages.
Yes, so important.
But document them, preserve them.
Before they disappear.
Like a linguistic Noah's Ark. It is. Saving these unique ways of seeing the world.
But while we're protecting the languages we have, we also have to be open to new ones.
Of course.
Like, just as Proto-Indo-European led to all this diversity, maybe new languages will come about in the future.
Reflecting how human culture is changing.
It's exciting to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
Who knows what linguistic innovations are coming next?
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
We've explored where this huge language family came from, looked at these cutting-edge research methods,
and thought about the future of language itself.
It's been a wild ride.
It has.
As we wrap things up,
yeah,
we want you to keep thinking about these questions.
About the future of language.
What new paths will these languages take?
What new treasures will we find?
Or create?
We'll be back soon to close out this episode.
Stay tuned. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Indo-European languages. It's been quite a journey, wouldn't you say?
It really has. We started with those early discoveries about a possible common ancestor. Then we jumped into that cutting-edge computational analysis.
Yeah, the one that's been shaking things up.
And we even took a peek into the future of language.
It's mind-blowing to think that all these languages we talk about, Hindi, Spanish, English, they all came from this one ancestor, Proto-Indo-European.
It's incredible, the reach of that one language.
And the debate about where it came from, that's still going strong.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got the steppe hypothesis with the nomadic herders, the Anatolian hypothesis with the farmers, and then we threw in that computational phylogenetics. It analyzes all those vocabulary patterns
to make these language family trees.
It's like a time machine for languages.
It really is. Yeah. But we have to remember, any tool, it's got its limitations.
Right. We saw that just focusing on vocabulary
can be misleading.
Because languages borrow words all the time.
Happens all the time. It's like trying to judge a book by its cover.
You might get the wrong idea.
Exactly. Language is so much more than just a list of words.
It's a living thing, always changing.
Absolutely. Adapting, reflecting the world around it.
And that's what makes this exploration of Indo-European origins so relevant.
Even today.
It's not just about some ancient language.
No.
It's about understanding language itself.
The core of it.
Its power to connect us, to shape how we think, to reflect what it means to be human.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's bring it back to our listeners.
Okay.
Why should they care about all this? What can they take away from it?
Good question.
Well, first of all, it gives us this connection to the past.
Right.
Imagine those early Proto-Indo-European speakers.
Going about their lives.
Talking, telling stories, building communities.
And their words, their language, their thoughts
are a part of the languages we speak today.
It's like we're carrying a piece of their story with us.
We are. It makes you realize just how rich human history is.
And how powerful language is.
Connecting us across time and space.
And beyond that historical connection,
Yeah.
Studying language origins opens our minds
To how diverse and complex human communication is.
It shows us that there are so many ways to express ourselves, to share ideas, to understand the world.
Like realizing that there are all these different languages out there.
Each one with a unique perspective.
A different way of seeing things.
It makes you want to learn a new language.
Experience the world in a new way.
And as our world keeps getting more interconnected,
It's true.
understanding those nuances of language and communication
Becomes even more important.
it's about bridging those cultural divides,
Building empathy.
creating a world where everyone's voice can be heard.
And understood.
So beautifully put. So, as you go about your day, pay attention to the words you use,
The languages you hear.
how you communicate with others.
Remember that each word, each phrase, each conversation,
It's all part of a bigger story.
a story that started thousands of years ago.
And it keeps going with each new generation.
Who knows what the future holds for the Indo-European family?
Right.
Maybe new branches will appear, new words.
New ways of communicating.
The possibilities are endless, just like language itself.
What a great way to wrap things up. It's been a pleasure exploring these Indo-European languages with you today.
The pleasure was all mine.
Until next time, keep those linguistic gears turning.
Happy word nerding, everyone!